Many spouses call our office about their husband or wife, and they want to know if they can survive alcoholism and drug addiction, if the marriage can survive it. And the answer is yes, but not without work on your part. You know, when you're married to a substance user, it's devastating. You know, very similar to when moms call about their children, etc. You're in it, and it's difficult. The biggest thing you have to understand is that when your loved one is using substances, they're actually putting you second, and they're making it all about them. And marriage is not about getting what you want exclusively. It's about compromise. And there has to be boundaries, and there has to be accountability. And when you're in a relationship, you're married to somebody, or just in a relationship with them, you have two choices. You either stay with them the way that they are, or you get out of there. Those are your options, unless they get sober. Because if they don't get sober, the question turns to, why are you staying? I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who are married to an alcoholic, only to find out that one of their parents were also alcoholics, and that's why they're staying. There's some level of dysfunction as to why you allow yourself to stay in an emotionally abusive relationship. Some of them are even physical. Some of you have children, and your children are growing up in this type of environment. Can the marriage survive? It can, but they have to get sober, and you have to go through rigorous recovery yourself as the spouse. That's why we have our Safe Family Recovery Coaching program, is to help families learn how to detach, but also understand how the substance user thinks, the alcoholic or the drug addict or the person with mental disorders. You will learn how to communicate. You will learn boundaries. You will learn accountability. You will learn the word no. And you will learn the warning signs of relapse, because relapse doesn't mean that they picked up a drink or, took a smoke or whatever it is that they do. Relapse starts with behavior. And you may not always know when your spouse is using, but you'll always know when they're not. So to say that you can survive it, you absolutely can. But the first step is you addressing it, because if you're watching this, you already know that they won't. And every single addict and alcoholic has to have consequences in order to see the need for change. It may involve you walking away for a minute and taking the kids. It may involve you setting a hard boundary, because to think that they're just going to stop because you love them, it's not going to happen. A lot of spouses will ask me, why isn't my love enough? And if love were enough, or children were enough, we wouldn't have jobs, rehab centers, and probably cut our law enforcement and court system costs by 50%. If all you had to do was love somebody into rehab or into sobriety, this would be easy. If having a child stopped people from excelling in their addiction or their alcoholism, this would be easy. In order for a marriage to survive or make it through alcoholism and drug addiction, it is going to require a lot of work on both sides. Your loved one's not going to go to rehab for 30 days and come back the shiny new penny. The number one client that is pulled from treatment early is by a wife or a husband. It's not by a mother or a father or a grandparent or an uncle or a friend. It's a spouse. Because their loved one goes to treatment for 30 days, they're supposed to be there for 90, and you need them home. Spouses become martyrs, and martyrs become victims. And victims are more worried about what's going to happen to them than they are their loved one. It's not your fault, but that's what happens. You're more worried about what's going to happen when they go to rehab than if they don't. You're more worried about if they get sober and clear-headed, will they still love me? What if they meet somebody in treatment? What if they come home and decide they want a divorce? How am I going to pay their bills when they're gone? What's going to happen? And it goes back to, you have the fear of your spouse as an alcoholic or a drug addict, but then the anxiety that you put on that cripples you in fear and makes you a martyr. It doesn't define you or diagnose you. It's temporary, but that's where you are right now. Can it survive alcoholism and drug addiction, your marriage? When you stop being a martyr, you don't pull them out of treatment early, and you start doing the heavy lifting in your own recovery, and you let them stay in treatment as long as it takes, and you don't think that your love and children are strong enough to get them sober, That's how a marriage survives alcoholism and drug addiction.